Hello everybody, and welcome back to OMB Reviews. I am the critic who is a cynic. Hope you're doing well, and today I'll be doing a review of Harakiri from 1962. Before I go any further though, please be sure to smash the like button, light up that fire button if you're watching on Odyssey. Also make sure you are subscribed with the bell notification on, that way you know every time a new video gets posted or I go live on the channel. And so, I actually have a couple of other reviews that I need to do prior technically to this because I saw them prior, but this is one that I've just stopped watching, and so I wanted to be able to talk about it while it was still fresh in my mind. And so this film from 1962 was directed by Masaki Kobayashi and is starring Tatsuya Nakadai, who I have mentioned in previous reviews. He had been in films like Ron and also The Sword of Doom, and I really like and love his performances in the films that he's done. I think this might be the best performance that I've seen from him. I think that Ron is kind of in a category of itself since it's a little bit later in his career, but as far as from his younger career, this is definitely my favorite performance of his, even more so than Sword of Doom, because there's just so many different levels that the actor has to be able to portray. I mean, not only does he portray happiness when he's with his family, he also, of course, shows anger, frustration, and, of course, sadness as well when he finds out the end result of what happens to his son-in-law and also what happens to his family. And when he's recounting his story towards the end of the movie about all of the things that happened over just a week period, essentially, of losing his entire family, the emotion that he shows and the emotion that's heard in his voice is really worth mentioning. And so this film absolutely has fantastic acting all the way through, which is, of course, carried by Tatsuya Nakadai, who, once again, does an amazing job here. If you really want to see a very well-done samurai-era film with a really solid performance, and maybe you've heard of him before, this would be the film to check out, because I really do think his performance is just that good. The story is also incredibly well done as well. It's kind of a different take in a lot of ways on the idea of samurai. It seems that a lot of the other films that I've seen so far have been a little bit more, I guess, honoring of the samurai code or more positive towards the samurai code, kind of this glamorization, whereas this film actually tries to pick it apart a bit. And one big aspect of that comes from the writing, and especially the speeches and the monologues that are read, and I guess also a bit of the dialogue too, by the character played by Tatsuya Nakadai, because he is basically calling out the house that he is in, the house of Ii, as essentially being a facade, that the idea of what it means to be a samurai, the code of samurai, is nothing more than a facade, that it's not really what it was meant to be, that you have all of these different people that claim to follow a code, and yet when they are asked to do so, they typically fail to do so, or when something is put into their own lives, right? If they're put into a situation where they actually have to follow through with various parts of the code, they actually don't really find the strength to do so. And so one thing that he's recognized from his own life and experiences is that it's very much a facade, and by the end of this movie, he has completely exposed the Ii clan as also being nothing more than a complete facade. There's just really great imagery being used of this empty suit of armor you see at the very beginning of the movie, and you see at the very end of the movie. And it really does, I think, help to kind of exemplify the main theme of this film, that the clan, in this case, that allowed for his son-in-law, because that's one of the reasons why he himself is coming to commit Harakiri, or seppuku as it's sometimes often known in other circles. But what you see here is that this empty suit of armor is representative of the fact that the House of Ii, which is at the center of this story, is like that empty suit of armor. It looks very pretty on the outside. It has all of the makings and the trappings of what a true samurai is, of a true samurai house. But at the end of the day, it's meaningless. And obviously a lot of it's essentially an empty suit, right? It's an empty suit that has absolutely no heart to it whatsoever. It is a complete facade. And I think the imagery of that is just so beautiful and so well done and so well shot that it really does help to convey the message. And then it brings you back to other points of the dialogue and of the words spoken of in the story given by Nakadai's character, where he talks about especially how he himself was a samurai and how the shogunate during this time basically was just taking out lords left and right for no reason whatsoever. These warlords that were underneath the shogun at the time, and he would strip them of their lands, he would force them to commit seppuku, and because of that, he would be able to take their lands, take their money, and all of the retainers, the other kind of, I guess you could say, lesser lords underneath them, the samurai, that's how they would become rōnin, right? They would be masterless samurai. And so during this period, you had a plethora of various rōnin warriors, and many of them didn't know what to do. And so what would be very common is that they would show up to other lords, to other houses, like in this case, the Iyi clan house, and would ask to use their courtyard and to use their space in order to either commit seppuku or to plead for money or for a job or for a wide variety of these things. And what it really does help to expose, though, is that the shogun, in what is seemingly being called out here as corruption, as, again, taking away these things to try and, basically just take money into the shogun to pay off for these various things. There's one mention of a castle being rebuilt, essentially, and that's why the master that he had been attached to had been essentially taken out, was to help pay for that. And so his life basically gets thrown into this various struggle, even though there's a couple of bright moments, because even as a rōnin, he has a daughter, and he's able to marry her off to a very nice man who is a teacher, but is also at that point a samurai warrior, had been a samurai warrior as well. But of course, the events of the film play out, and everyone close to him eventually dies. And I think that this is a very good take on not just the samurai culture, but also it's a critique of that samurai culture as well. Whereas in other films, it is very much exaggerated. It is very much, I guess you could say, put on a silver platter, kind of put on a pedestal. What he kind of shows in this, and what the writing of this, and this is based off the screenplay written by Shinobu Hashimoto, who did, again, an amazing job with this screenplay based on, I guess I get another story here, by Yasuhiko Takiguchi. Again, I'm terrible with these pronunciations, but the story itself is just so good because with all of the different levels, with all of the different commentaries there, it's one of the most unique samurai stories that I've seen so far because of its very clear criticism of the facade of the samurai code, which is clearly exposed, especially at the very end of the movie by the character played by Nakadai. But anyway, this film, just to, put a button on it, has amazing acting, again, really led by the performance by Nakadai. Amazing cinematography. There's some really awesome shots that kind of pull in really, really quickly. You also have some other amazing panning shots as well. Really great editing with a well-paced story as well. Again, really good stuff. The cinematographer was Yoshio Miyajima, edited by Hisashi Sagara. So again, a very, very good collection of talent here. And these are people that I don't even know all of their filmographies and what they've worked on. But what I do know is what they were able to put out with this 1962 film was nothing short of a masterpiece in a lot of ways. And I really did enjoy this film a lot more than I thought I would, because I didn't really know a whole lot about it other than Nakadai's character being in it. But with great acting, solid direction, a beautiful script and screenplay. Again, the screenplay, I think, is one of the strongest parts other than Nakadai's performance. I will give this movie a solid A. I highly recommend it if you can find a copy of it. Again, this was something I was able to watch through the Criterion channel, but I'm sure there are other places that you might be able to watch it. It is in 134 minutes, so it is a bit on the longer side, again, a little over 2 hours long, but I don't think it really drags all that much. And Masaki Kobayashi, this is, I believe, the first film that I've seen from him. Again, he did an incredibly great job, and I think it definitely helped having a very strong screenplay to boot as well. So a solid A for Harakiri from me. But have you seen Harakiri? I know this was a film recommended to me by people in the comments. Let me know in the comment section, especially that pinned comment, what your thoughts are on the movie. And anyway, please be sure to smash the like button, light up that fire button, and be on the lookout for more reviews. I'm probably going to go off to start watching the third film in a in a long series of movies, of which I continuously mess up as far as pronunciation, as Zotoichi, the Zotaichi franchise and various series. I'm going into the third film of that, and I need to do reviews of the first 2 films. So maybe I'll do a major review of all of the first 3 films together. Who knows? But anyway, let me know your thoughts. Have a wonderful day, everybody. You're amazing and beautiful people. Hope you all have a blessed week. And as always, God bless. And now for a huge shout out to all of my June Patreon and Subscribe Star members: Andrew Hoyle, Biffer DeHobbit, Brian P., Dion, Don Bruno de la Mancha, Enrique Evangelista, Father Christopher Miller, hail to you, Father, Father Damian Cook, Garrett Searles, Inflamed Wood, It's a Trap Productions, Jason Clark, Jacob Juice, Jeffrey Toone, Jonathan Carney, Laura, the Modern Major General's Story, Mike Jackson, Mad Mitch Dunaway, Mr. Peabody and his evil twin with the beautiful hair, On to June, Orange Hat Reviews, Out of Step with Reality, Priscilla Hall, Riff Magos, Rosetta Allen, Teresa Martin, Theodore Bendon, and rather Teresa Martin is Miss Martin Muses now, Tina Bojan, Tina B., and Washington Madranda. Thank y'all very much for being my supporters on Patreon. And to my Subscribe Star peeps: Fast Reaction, Nosferatu Gatsu, Stand For, John B., Perpetual Punster, Mr. Roy, Glinzer, J. Alex McCarthy Jr., Dean Heiss / The New Number 2, J. Rod the Beer Guru, Nevanon G. Adams, and ZK Man. Thank you all very much for being my Subscribe Star members. And if you want your name shouted out at the end of every video and live stream, please consider joining on Patreon or Subscribe Star. You also get access at other tiers to things like a bi-monthly podcast, bi-weekly, twice a month podcast that I do with John the Flick Pick Flickinger, which is a lot of fun. There's also a tier in which you can join me once a month for the Chosen of Valhalla live stream, where you all get to, at that level, join me for discussions, talk about any projects that you might be working on, or just hang out and have a good time. It's a lot of fun. And also, too, for many of those levels, you also get access to a giveaway section on the Discord server, where you get access to giveaways of things like 4K movies, digital codes, and tons of other stuff like that. So if any of that sounds interesting to you, check out the links in the description and sign up over on Patreon and Subscribe Star. You guys are all amazing and beautiful people. I hope you all have a wonderful day, and as always, God bless.